Okay, well, I am waiting for Amanda and Emma Kelly to call in. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to welcome to Echoes of Erin in Pittsburg, Pennsylvania, the sisters Amanda and Emma Kelly, calling all the way from Brisbane, Australia. Hello, Amanda and Emma. Welcome to Pittsburgh.
Diane. Hi.
What time is it there?
It's 3:30 in the morning.
That's Monday morning, ladies and gentlemen. Well, look, Amanda and Emma, their brother, was murdered in October 2008, and lots of things have happened. So, Amanda, do you want to give us a brief update of the process that you've gone through to find out what happened to your brother?
Yeah, sure. As I said, in October 2008, John was making his way home from a place called Kildare, and he ended up in Dublin city centre, where, for whatever reason, he went off track and ended up in an area where he actually drowned that night. Now, what happened that night was the area that he was at. He was heard screaming and shouting for help. There was an apartment block close by to where he was, and he was screaming and shouting for help. He was actually in the water. And for whatever reason, rescue services, they didn't turn up when they were supposed to turn up. He was crying out for, we believe, 30 minutes to an hour.
Oh, my.
So when they actually got there, they said that John was in the water. They threw him a rope. He couldn't catch it, and he went under. Now, when the rescue services actually arrived, they couldn't find his body, so he wasn't recovered till the next day. So when the police, the Garda, contacted our family, they told my mother that when John died, there was one phone call to say there was someone screaming and shouting, and they turned up, they threw him a rope, he couldn't catch it. Now, when his body was recovered, he had no phone, his money was missing, he'd bought runners that day, they were also missing. So there was a lot of things that weren't right. He was in an area where he wasn't supposed to be. Mm-hmm. So we said to the police, all of this is going on, there's an investigation into his death. And we were told from the start, well, no, there is no investigation.
Oh,
there was nothing suspicious. Now, they advised that we have a closed coffin because they couldn't recover John's body on the night, and he'd been in the water for so long, so they said, his body was... It was best not to view his body, basically.
Right.
But my mother actually asked for the coffin to be opened in the funeral home, and when she seen John, there was bruising to his face, there was dried blood in his ears, his knuckles were bruised and scraped. Now, we were told there was no marks to John's body whatsoever. So it wasn't right from the start.
Oh, goodness, yes, of course.
Yeah.
So the Gardaí have not conducted any kind of a thorough investigation of what happened?
No, we were told it wasn't suspicious. There was nothing suspicious about it. I mean, even at that, we were told that John's body or John's clothes were destroyed because they were so badly soiled with blood. Now, when we questioned all these things, we were saying, well, his body is bruised, his belongings are missing, his clothes have been destroyed because they're so badly soiled with blood. I mean, that all says, something happened before he entered the water. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess even to this day, none of his personal items have ever turned up, have they?
No. Now, even at that, his phone actually rang out the next day.
Yeah. Explain that.
So... yeah, this is it. Like, my mother and my sister, he hadn't come back that night, so we knew straight away that something was wrong, because it wasn't like John not to come back, and for none of us to know where he was. So his phone actually did ring out the next day. Now, we were denied John's phone records. We never actually received them. They wouldn't give them to us. So,
why wouldn't they give them to you?
Like many other things, we were just, from the start, they just really wouldn't deal with us. It was, I can't even explain it, they just wouldn't deal with us. They wanted us to go away from the very start. Now, we started investigating John's death as soon as, we'd only just buried John. It was a week after John's body was recovered and we buried him. And we started retracing his footsteps, and we went into the city centre and started going from building to building and asking for CCTV footage. And we then later on, we hired a private investigator. We ended up contacting the apartment block beside where John had been found dead. And it turned out that there was not one phone call that night. Our calculation is there's maybe up to 16 phone calls that night from several residents who were actually out on the balconies while he was crying for help. They were shouting over to him saying, hold on, we've rang the Garda, we've rang them. Yeah. So there was a lot of chaos going on that night, and for whatever reason, they told us there was one phone call and that was it.
Oh, my goodness gracious. Well, now, as part of your investigation, you contacted, is it Maureen O'Sullivan or Minister for Justice and Equality Francis Fitzgerald to pursue some sort of investigation here?
Yes, that's correct. We're heading on to October this year. We will be at this now 8 years. It's been 8 years since John passed. Yeah. And over the last couple of years, what's happened in Ireland is there has been a lot of people speaking out in Ireland about Garda misconduct, corruption. So there was a group set up, Justice for All panel review, and there was some politicians on board. And what happened was there was 320 cases altogether. People had come forward to say that something hadn't been right. It goes from murder to paedophilia to, land, to all different range of cases. So we put our case in for the panel review with the Minister for Justice. December just gone, we got a response to say that there is an inquiry into John's death regarding Garda misconduct, but we still haven't heard anything back about that.
Oh, my goodness gracious, that's just awful. 320 cases? Wow.
Yeah, as we know, there was so many. Since we started our campaign in Ireland, we haven't stopped. We're just like, we've set up Twitter, we've set up Facebook, a website. So we have families contacting us all the time about different cases that haven't heard of the panel review. Yeah. So this is bigger than 320 cases. There's people contacting us all the time saying either something similar has happened or it's quite shocking what's going on in Ireland.
Oh, my goodness gracious, it absolutely is. The Garda, these are supposed to be people we trust, and if they're just not doing their job, whatever could be done. Somebody's not going to fire the whole Garda department, or...
I guess what has to happen is people have to start speaking out and saying, hey, you know what, this is not good enough. As you say, then, the whole system is there to protect the people, and that's not happening. John, the night that John died, he was denied his basic human rights. Yeah. He was left there for a considerable amount of time until he passed away. A system, that shouldn't happen in a system.
Oh, absolutely. Now, I noticed on your website that you have a reward out there. You're offering €10,000 for information.
Yeah, that's right. In September last year, the police actually contacted my mother to say that in 2014, 2 anonymous letters were actually sent to our local Garda station to say, given the names of 2 people who were to meet with John that night, and they had information. Now, as I said, these letters were posted in 2014, but yet we weren't notified until 2015 that these letters had come forward. And I'd just like to add that is actually the first time that the Garda approached my mother since John died, so we haven't had contact. So with these two letters, we believe that there is a witness out there who's trying to give information. For whatever reason, they're not coming forward. So we've decided to put out €10,000 reward.
Wow.
To try and resolve it, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, it must be very difficult to resolve it in Ireland when you and Emma are living in Australia. Or are you back and forth a lot?
No, we're not. I mean, we're very lucky. We've a very strong family, and we have our sisters over in Ireland. So we do our thing on the computer here, and our interviews and things, and they do the protests. So we're a very strong family unit, and we're very blessed with that. So yeah.
Well, what can we in America do to help you, Amanda?
I guess, Diane, it's just really bringing notice.
Yeah, okay.
Awareness to what's going on, and I guess the more people that we set up a campaign, like a contact. A contact.ie on our website, and it's actually getting people just to sign their names and say, "Hey, look, open an investigation into John's death." So I guess the more people that actually sign it, will be brilliant.
Okay, so how can we sign that? Is it
okay?
Go ahead.
We've got this website, and that's www.justiceforjohnkelly.com, and on the heading of the tabs, it's under it's under contact, and if you actually press into that, it'll bring you onto our campaign.
All right.
And people just sign this, and it'll go off to the Minister for Justice and politicians and so on.
Oh, very good, very good.
Yeah.
Well, I know today's program I'm going to copy and send off to George Trainer because he too is very interested. And of course, George was our contact. And our interview today will be uploaded to my website. So maybe tonight or tomorrow you'll be able to access it and pass it on to whomever. So I want to wish you good luck. And then maybe somewhere down the road, if there's any positive action, well, I guess any action is positive. But if anything happens, we can always have another conversation if you like. So
that would be brilliant.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, Emma and Amanda, good luck to you. And I certainly hope this brings some resolution. 8 years is a long time.